This is the story of Kira Adetokunbo, Nigeria's oil princess who flew across the world for love, only to discover she'd been sold into a gilded cage. This is the story of Han Min, the ghost king of Seoul's underworld, a man with no face, no mercy, and no heart, until her. Welcome to a tale of dark romance, forbidden love, and mafia obsession. A story where power meets passion, where betrayal bleeds into redemption, and where two broken souls collide in the shadows of Seoul's glittering skyline. 23 years ago, in the heart of Lagos, Nigeria, a baby girl was born into destiny. Her name was Kira Adetokunbo, and from her first breath, her future was already written in contracts, oil wells, and international boardrooms. Her father, Chief Betrayal Adetokunbo, wasn't just wealthy, he was a titan. Owner of Delta Gold Petroleum, controller of one of the most lucrative oil wells in the Niger Delta. His crude oil and LNG flowed across oceans to power Asian industries, especially South Korea. And with that power came expectations. Kira's mother, Lady Iridi Adetokunbo, would whisper to her daughter every night, "You are not ordinary, my dear. Your destiny is greater. You were born to bridge nations." So, Kira's childhood became a masterclass in preparation. Korean language tutors arrived when she was 7. Mandarin lessons followed at 9. Etiquette instructors trained in Seoul taught her how to bow at precise angles, how to serve tea with grace, how to smile without showing too much emotion. She learned Korean cooking, Korean history, Korean traditions. Everything, every lesson, every discipline, every sacrifice was training her for one singular purpose: marriage into a South Korean dynasty. Kira didn't resist. She embraced it, because her mother promised her that on the other side of all this preparation was love. True, destined, fairy tale love. Across the sea in Seoul, another alliance was forming. The Han family, owners of Hanul Group, one of Korea's most powerful automobile and technology conglomerates, had been business partners with Delta Gold Petroleum for over a decade. Chairman Han Dae-sung and Chief Adetokunbo shared cigars, signed contracts, and built empires together, until one day they decided to build something more permanent, a family bond. The two patriarchs met in a private room overlooking Seoul's skyline. No lawyers, no witnesses, just two men who understood that real power isn't written in contracts. It's sealed in bloodlines. "My son will marry your daughter," Chairman Han said, his voice smooth as aged whiskey. "Our families will become one." Chief Adetokunbo smiled. "Then our empires will be unstoppable." To them, this union meant stability, trust, and generational wealth. To Kira, it meant destiny, a love story waiting to unfold. At 23, Kira stepped off the plane at Incheon International Airport and into a dream. Cameras flashed. Luxury cars waited. Reporters shouted questions in Korean and English. Her face was already on magazine covers. Nigeria's oil princess marries Korea's automotive prince. Her groom-to-be, Han Jun-seo, waited at the arrival gate in a tailored black suit. Tall, sharp-featured, magnetic. His smile was practiced, perfect. When he took her hand and kissed it for the cameras, Kira's heart fluttered. This is it, she thought. This is the fairy tale. The engagement ceremony was held in the Han family's private estate, a sprawling mansion in Gangnam where old money whispered through marble halls. Kira wore a traditional Korean hanbok, custom-made in gold and emerald silk, her dark skin glowing against the rich fabric. She bowed to her future in-laws with perfect grace. Chairman Han Dae-sung barely looked at her. His wife, Madame Han, smiled coldly and said, "Welcome to the family," in a tone that meant anything but. Still, Kira smiled. She served tea. She bowed. She played her part perfectly, just as her mother taught her. That night, Jun-seo took her to a rooftop restaurant overlooking the Han River. The city lights sparkled like scattered diamonds. He ordered for her in Korean, poured her wine, told her about Hanul Group's expansion plans. He never asked about her dreams. But Kira didn't notice. She was too busy falling in love with the idea of him. 3 months later, they married in a ceremony that cost more than most people earn in a lifetime. Kira walked down an aisle lined with white orchids imported from Thailand, her gown a cascade of French lace and Nigerian oak embroidery, a fusion of two worlds. She believed she was walking toward love. She was walking into a cage. The illusion shattered within weeks. Behind the closed doors of their Gangnam mansion, Junseo transformed. The charming prince became cold, distant, controlled by ambition and family pressure. He worked until midnight, came home smelling of expensive perfume that wasn't Kira's, and barely spoke to her except to criticize. "You embarrassed me at dinner tonight," he said one evening, not even looking up from his phone. "Your Korean is still broken." My mother noticed. Kira's hands trembled as she set down her tea. "I'm trying." "Try harder." She did. She always did. She studied late into the night, practiced pronunciation until her tongue ached, smiled until her cheeks hurt at family dinners where Madame Han whispered to relatives about the African girl in Korean, not caring that Kira understood every word. Exotic, different, not one of us. Junseo's coldness turned to cruelty. He controlled her schedule, her wardrobe, her friends. He monitored her phone. When she asked why, he grabbed her wrist hard enough to bruise. "You're Han now," he hissed. "Everything you do reflects on this family. Don't forget that." Kira called her mother, crying. Lady Iridi's voice was firm. "Marriage is sacrifice, Kira. Serve your husband with grace. Love will follow." But love didn't follow. Violence did. One night, Kira discovered texts on Junseo's phone. Messages from a woman named Yuna, his ex-girlfriend. Explicit, recent, ongoing. When she confronted him, he slapped her. The sound echoed through their marble bedroom. Kira's cheek burned, her vision blurred with tears. Junseo straightened his tie, his face emotionless. "You're my wife on paper, Kira. That's all you'll ever be. Don't forget your place." She wanted to leave. God, she wanted to run. But her father's empire depended on this marriage. One divorce, and the Han Adetokunbo alliance would collapse. Delta Gold Petroleum would lose its biggest Asian contracts. Her family would be ruined. So Kira stayed, and every day she disappeared a little more. Have you ever felt trapped in a life you chose? Have you ever wondered if the cage was built by your dreams or someone else's? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Let's get right back. Kira stood on her bedroom balcony, 17 stories above Seoul, and looked down. The city lights blurred through her tears. For just a moment, she wondered what freedom would feel like. But she stepped back, because she wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. In the shadows of Seoul's glittering elite lived another Han. A ghost, a rumor, a name spoken only in whispers. Han Min, the illegitimate son of Chairman Han Dae-sung, born from a scandal the family buried deep. His mother was a secretary, beautiful, young, naive, who believed the chairman's promises of love. When she became pregnant, he dismissed her with money and silence. Han Min grew up in a small apartment in Itaewon, watching his half-brother Junseo's face on billboards while he ate instant ramen for dinner. He watched his mother work 3 jobs to keep them fed. He watched her cry herself to sleep every night. And he learned 3 truths. 1. The Han family would never acknowledge him. 2. Legitimate power was given. Illegitimate power was taken. 3. He would build an empire they could never ignore. By 20, Han Min controlled Seoul's underworld, not through violence alone, but through intelligence, strategy, and an almost supernatural ability to read people. He moved shipments no one else could move. He solved problems no one else could solve. He made people disappear without a trace. They called him the King of Souls, a phantom ruler with no face, no photograph, no police file. Just a reputation that made hardened criminals whisper prayers before speaking his name. By day, he ran a modest logistics company on paper. By night he was untouchable. And beside him stood Choi Taek, his shadow, his blade, his most loyal lieutenant. Taek had followed Han Min since they were teenagers running small cons in Hongdae. He'd taken bullets for him, buried bodies for him, built the syndicate with him. Taek's loyalty was absolute. But he also understood danger when he saw it. And when Han Min began watching Kira Adetokunbo from the shadows, Taek saw danger. "She's the legitimate wife," Taek warned one night as they reviewed surveillance photos. "Jun Seo's property. Touching her breaks every rule." Han Min's eyes were dark, unreadable. "I'm not going to touch her." "Then why are we watching her?" Han Min didn't answer, because he didn't know yet. He only knew that when he saw footage of Kira at a charity gala, her smile practiced and hollow, her eyes dead behind the makeup, something inside him recognized something inside her. Two people wearing masks. Two people playing roles. Two people suffocating in worlds they didn't choose. It happened on a Wednesday night in October. The kind of night where Seoul's autumn rain falls cold and merciless. Kira had endured another dinner with the Han family, another evening of subtle insults, cold stares, and Jun Seo's hand gripping her thigh under the table hard enough to bruise. When they returned home, he was drunk and angry. The argument started over nothing. A misplaced phone call. A imagined slight. His voice escalated. Then his hands. Kira ran. She didn't plan it. Didn't think. She just ran. Out of the mansion in her silk pajamas, barefoot, her heart pounding so hard she thought it would break through her ribs. She ran through Gangnam's wealthy streets, past luxury boutiques and neon-lit cafes, until her legs gave out in an empty alleyway behind a closed market. She collapsed against a wet brick wall, gasping, crying, her feet bleeding on the cold pavement. That's when the headlights appeared. A black sedan, sleek and silent, pulled up at the alley's entrance. The engine stopped. A car door opened. Footsteps approached, calm, measured, deliberate. Kira looked up through her tears and saw him. A man in a dark coat, his face partially shadowed, his presence somehow both terrifying and safe. "Han Min, are you hurt?" His voice was low, calm. Kira tried to speak, but her body betrayed her. The adrenaline crashed. The fear, the pain, the exhaustion, everything hit her at once. She reached out desperately and grabbed his hand, and then she collapsed. Han Min carried her to his car. She weighed nothing in his arms, this broken woman who smelled of expensive perfume and desperation. In the back seat, she mumbled in delirium, half in English, half in Korean. "Please don't send me back. Please." Something inside Han Min's chest tightened. Something he thought he'd killed years ago. He drove her to his private residence. Not the syndicate headquarters, but his personal sanctuary. A modern penthouse in Yongsan where no one knew to look for him. He called his private doctor. No questions asked. The doctor treated her feet, checked her vitals, administered for fluids for dehydration and shock. "She needs rest," the doctor said. "And safety." Han Min watched over her for 2 days. Kira slept like the dead, her body finally surrendering to exhaustion it had held for months. When she finally woke, sunlight was streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then she saw him. Han Min sat in a chair across the room, reading a book. When their eyes met, he set it down. "You're safe here," he said simply. Kira's voice was hoarse. "Who are you?" "Someone who found you in an alley." "Why did you help me?" Han Min studied her face, the fear, the confusion, the desperate hope. "Because you asked me to." That was the beginning. Kira stayed in Han Min's penthouse for 3 days before reality demanded she return. But in those 3 days, something shifted. Han Min didn't ask invasive questions, didn't demand explanations. He gave her space, clean clothes, food. He treated her like a person, not a possession. On the second day, they had breakfast together. She asked what he did for work. Logistics, he said. It wasn't entirely a lie. Are you married? No. Why not? Han-min's smile was slight, sad. I don't believe in cages. Kira's hands trembled around her coffee cup. What if the cage is made of gold? Then it's still a cage. She looked at him then, really looked. Saw the intelligence in his eyes, the controlled power in his movements, the loneliness he wore like armor. I have to go back, she whispered. I know. He'll hurt me again. I know. Then why are you letting me go? Han-min leaned forward, his gaze intense. Because you're not mine to keep, Kira, but you're also not his to break. It was the first time he said her name, and it felt like a promise. He gave her his number before she left. If you ever need to run again, he said, call me. Kira returned to the Han mansion with a story about staying with a friend. Jun-seo barely noticed she'd been gone. He was too busy with Yuna. But everything had changed, because now Kira had a secret, a lifeline, a choice. She and Han-min began meeting. At first, it was practical, coffee shops in neighborhoods where no one knew her, brief conversations, nothing that could be called an affair. But forbidden love doesn't stay practical. Han-min found himself craving her presence. Her laugh, rare and genuine. Her intelligence, hidden beneath years of training to be silent. Her strength, buried under layers of abuse. Kira found herself feeling alive for the first time in years. With Han-min, she could breathe. She could speak. She could exist without performance. One rainy evening, they met at a small bookstore in Hongdae. Han-min handed her a book, a collection of Nigerian poetry. I didn't know you read poetry, Kira said, touched. I read everything. He paused. I wanted to understand where you came from. Tears pricked her eyes. Jun-seo had never once asked about Nigeria, about her culture, about her. That night, in the back corner of the bookstore while rain drummed against the windows, Han-min kissed her. It wasn't planned. It wasn't calculated. It was inevitable, like gravity, like destiny, like the collision of two stars in the dark. Kira kissed him back with all the passion she'd been forced to suppress. And in that moment she fell, not into love, into obsession. What do you think will happen next? Will Kira allow herself drown in this pool of forbidden love? Reply in the comments.